Everyone knows Bali, the beaches, the culture, the rice fields. But just next door, there's an island that most travelers completely overlook. A tropical paradise called Lombok. Same country, very different vibe. One is a digital nomad hotspot, the other is still a little bit of a hidden gem. Which one is cheaper, which has the better beaches, lifestyle and adventure? And ultimately, where should you book your next flight? I have lived and traveled across both islands and I'm going to break it all down, the good, the bad and the surprising. So let's start with a quick overview. Bali is known for different areas like Ubud, Canggu, Uluwatu, parties, nomads, yoga, surfing, and generally great infrastructure for actually even living here. But it also has some downsides like terrible traffic and the road structure is not really good at all. And Lombok is quieter, rawer nature, fewer tourists, less developed, but still has a big surf scene. Feels more like Bali 20 years ago, which can be amazing, but also comes with a lot of downsides. And yeah, it's just a short flight or boat ride between the two islands, but they can be quite different because Bali is Hindu island and Lombok is Muslim, so that also brings a lot of differences. And when it comes to the cost of travel or living in these places, it can be quite similar. Of course, in Indonesia, generally everything is quite the same, but the difference I would say that in Bali, especially if you stay around Canggu and Ubud, you are going to find a lot of like good deals because there's just so many options for accommodation and food and activities and all that. You can often find things that are very affordable. In Lombok, when you stay in Kuta Lombok, which is the common area where people usually stay, there's just less options, so you might not be able to find so many good food options, for example, that are super affordable but still taste good and it's nice places. But in a way, if you're lucky, you can also find really good deals in Lombok for accommodation because there's just not so many tourists yet, so you can be still lucky with that. But I would say generally Bali can be overall a little bit cheaper, especially if you make it out to be that. And also Bali can be a little bit more better value, for example, for like wellness clubs. There's just way more options here, so they're generally better and the same price or can be even cheaper. So that's a good example how you can get maybe cheaper and better value in Bali than in Lombok. But yeah, they both can be very affordable, so if you're traveling on a budget, it's not really a big deciding factor in my opinion. And when it comes to the beaches and nature, they're quite similar tropical islands. Why I love Bali so much is that you can literally get anything here. Rice fields, beaches, cliffs, volcanoes, like there's so much you can see when it comes to the nature. Lombok is quite similar, that there are even better waterfall actually in Lombok than in Bali, and there's some amazing mountains and rice fields and all that, so they both definitely have a lot to offer in this category. But I have to say Lombok somehow, when you stay in Kuta and you have these amazing beaches that are just out of this world sometimes, like so beautiful, and also not so many people there, it can be somehow even better, like similar thing you would get in Uluwatu in Bali but with different kind of cliffs. So it's kind of like which one do you prefer, but Kuta Lombok is still just so much more chill than Uluwatu is, so it definitely has that benefit that is not super duper busy. And generally Lombok is still a little bit more like actual adventure to even stay in the popular areas. It feels more raw. The nature is more like, yeah, I just remember just walking down this hill path in Lombok and finding a beach in the end of it where there's no one else there and it's just so beautiful, like insane. Like that kind of thing, it doesn't really happen in Bali too often. And both of these islands also have smaller islands next to them. So in Bali you have Nusa Penida and Nusa Lembongan, all that. It can be insane, like super beautiful, definitely experience you shouldn't miss out on. And similarly in Lombok there's also these Gili Islands that are more flat, small islands, which can be also a really nice experience, just some variety. But I would say Nusa Penida is definitely even more like insane, out of this world place than Gili Islands are. But if you enjoy that kind of small island party vibe, then Gili Islands I guess are better than Nusa Penida. But yeah, generally what I would say about like going to waterfalls and volcanoes and all that, they both are very good, but Lombok was maybe a little bit more like just less tourists, so that's definitely nice there. And before I dive into some huge differences between these two islands, just a quick word from today's sponsor, RatePunk Flight Deals. If you're planning to explore Asia or anywhere in the world, whether it's hopping from Bali to Bangkok or catching cherry blossoms in Japan, RatePunk Flight Deals can save you serious money. It's a flight deal discovery platform, not a booking engine. And here's how it works. You just set your main airport, let's say Bali or Bangkok, and their algorithm starts tracking prices from there automatically. You will get real-time alerts when the prices drop either through the dashboard or directly to your email. And one of the coolest parts is their AI deal score. It actually breaks down each deal and gives a percentage rating to help you decide if it's worth booking. You can also browse collections like trending routes, city breaks, last minute getaways. Really useful if you're flexible or just looking for inspiration. With my link you will get 70% off your first year. That's just $23.99 for unlimited access to RatePunk Flight Deals membership for a full year. Stop searching manually, let RatePunk Flight Deals surface the best deal so you can just choose the vibe and go. But yeah, what about the vibe and the crowd in these two places? I would say that Bali can be very busy, a lot of people, but it's the best place in the world in my opinion when it comes to meeting like-minded people and yeah, finding your community, whatever you enjoy doing. If you enjoy going out, if you enjoy going to the gym, playing paddle, surfing, yoga, like spirituality, anything, you can basically find your community here. It's amazing. And in Bali there's definitely way more like business people when it comes to entrepreneurs and people who actually own businesses working remotely, way more in Bali than in Lombok. In Lombok it's more chill, like in Kuta Lombok the vibe is that kind of small island vibe, everybody just like going to surf and chilling, maybe some people working in the cafe still doing some yoga, but it's just like yeah, way more island vibey and chill. There's many people who actually live long term in Lombok, but definitely way more people live long term in Bali. So yeah, the big difference is the co-working vibe in Bali and the slow-paced, more local style of living in Lombok. So Lombok is definitely way more relaxing and peaceful, and Bali is more social and exciting. That's how I would differentiate them. And by the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It would be a big help. And the difference in the food scene in these places is that Bali is just so developed. Like I never been in a place that has so many options for food. It's just like amazing. There's so many restaurants. It's quite affordable. You can always find deals in restaurants. And whatever diet you're into, if you're really into fitness, you want to eat a lot of protein, different like certain diets or something specific, you can always find in Bali, which is amazing. Like it's just there's so much variety. And in Lombok, it's more traditional, not so many options. There are still pretty decent food, but I found it that generally way less options, not as good food, and if you want something specific it can be harder to find. So I would say for people who are just more chill when it comes to food, they don't really care too much, Lombok is very nice still, it's not bad. But if you want something specific, or if you're really a foodie or like vegan or something like this, you really enjoy food and want something specific and the best options, Bali is definitely way better in this way. But there's still many nice cafes in Kuta Lombok. I actually enjoyed them better than in Bali when it comes to the vibe and the scenery. I don't know, the small island vibe is just quite beautiful. And when it comes to getting around and the infrastructure, there's some really big differences here. And one thing is that in Bali, if you have your own scooter like I do, it's really nice, you can go anywhere easily, but the problem in Bali is often in Uluwatu, in Ubud, in Canggu area, that it can be quite bad with the traffic. Like there's just, I don't know, there's a lot of traffic, like it's not relaxing to drive at all. The roads are very narrow, so especially if you don't really know so well how to drive a scooter, it can be quite uncomfortable and even dangerous. But when you know where to stay to avoid the worst traffic and you know well how to drive a scooter, it's not a big problem. But comparing to Lombok, where in Kuta area they built these like really big roads, you can just cruise them, there's no traffic, and like generally, yeah, just way less traffic and better roads. It's just like way better there. It's relaxing to drive, which is amazing compared to Bali. But the good thing is still in Bali is that if you don't want to drive your own scooter, there's so many scooter taxis, grab and go check. Like you can always get a scooter taxi or car to go somewhere. It's very easy. And ordering food also with these apps is way better in Bali. And also internet speeds are generally better in Bali and this kind of thing. So the infrastructure mainly is better in Bali. It's only the roads that are way better in Lombok. And of course, many things like hospitals or international schools, things like that. If you actually want to live long term or if something happens, Bali is of course way better with this because Lombok is just generally less developed. And by the way, you can check out my school community, the Nomad tribe, if you're coming to Lombok or Bali or anywhere else in Southeast Asia. There's a lot of information about different areas and where to stay, my accommodation recommendations, and so many hundreds of videos about this lifestyle and these places. And also you will get access to this amazing community. You can ask any questions in the WhatsApp chat and connect with other people through that and in the meetups and calls. So I'm sure it will be a huge help while planning your trip and while you're here. But yeah, if you want to experience as much as possible and don't mind a little bit of crowds sometimes and a little bit of traffic, go to Bali. And if you want more chill place, small island vibe, but still a lot to experience and a lot to do, go to Lombok. Or better yet, visit both of them. They're really close by. It's easy to go to both of them and experience two different sides of Indonesia.